Hello again. Those who hold a belief that there exists a worldwide conspiracy among Jews to subvert the Western way of life by encouraging immigration do not seem to me to have thought the thing through clearly. Let me explain why I think this. There are many Jews in the academic world, and also quite a few in business as well, and politics. This might be because Jews are inherently more intelligent than other people, or it could simply be that they value education, learning and having a good career more than most people. The fact is that in the Western world, one certainly sees many Jews in position of influence, either academically, politically, socially, commercially. A disproportionate number when you consider the actual number of Jews in, say, Britain and the United States. Some of those Jews will have very good ideas, and others will have ideas which are terrible. So we find that Jonas Salk developed the first effective vaccine against poliomyelitis. That was a good idea. Einstein formulated a theory of relativity. Another good idea. Some Jews became involved in the cinema and were early pioneers of making television an important new medium. Judging by the number of people who watch television and go to the cinema, I'm guessing that most people think those are good things, good ideas as well. I could go on for hours listing all the great achievements of Jews, the Nobel Prizes, great works of music and literature and so on, but I imagine people get the point. Some Jews have good ideas and produce stuff that most of us want, like polio vaccines and television channels. Because there are so many Jews in the academic world, they generate lots of ideas. Some of these ideas I do not agree with and would describe as bad ideas. In the United States, for instance, a German Jew called Franz Boas came up with the idea of cultural relativism and also equalitarianism, laying the foundations before the Second World War for the modern theory that race is a social construct. I don't think much of those ideas. There is another American academic called Barbara Specter, who has some very strange ideas about Europe and immigration, with which I also disagree. For some anti-Semites, Barbara Specter is an almost mythical figure, straight out of the elders of the Protocols of Zion, and determined to destroy our way of life by race mixing and immigration. Of course, there are plenty of well-known Jews in the public eye who dislike the European Union and are less than enthusiastic about immigration. The former British politician Edwina Currie, born Cohen, is one such. In the same way, there's a vague idea among people who dislike Jews that many of them are left-wing and that the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia was a Jewish enterprise. After all, wasn't Karl Marx a Jew? Of course, this neatly avoids considering the fact that the economist beloved of Margaret Thatcher, from whom she got the very idea of monetarism, was also a Jew, Milton Friedman. I think that what happens is this. It is not that those with a hatred of Jews start with open minds, then examine the evidence and find that the evidence that they come across for Jewish conspiracies is overwhelming, and so they are persuaded and converted to their views by examining the evidence. It is rather that dislike and mistrust of Jews comes first, and such people are then primed to notice Jews who seem to conform to the already existing prejudice. Such people will notice the Jew Marx and talk about how communism was a Jewish invention, but do not usually notice Milton Friedman and then start raving on about monetarism being a Jewish plot. They will seize on an academic like Barbara Spectre, but not notice Salks eradicating polio in Britain and America. Of course, one could do exactly the same thing if you were to have an irrational dislike of, say, Catholics or atheists. Indeed, both have been known in the past. In Britain, anti-Catholicism was at one time very strong, and we still see echoes of it every year on Guy Fawkes Night. There were legal prohibitions on Catholics entering Parliament, just as there were on Jews until the 19th century. In the United States, atheists were at one time viewed with the gravest suspicion and thought to be responsible for all sorts of immorality and degeneration of society. I am not, I hasten to add, trying to persuade anybody who dislikes Jews to change his or her view. I'm merely explaining why I do not find their opinions convincing. I'm always interested to observe anti-Semitism though, and of course some of the comments here give me ample opportunity to do so. I cannot help but observe that this kind of thing seems to be making a comeback lately. When I was a kid, I would hear people talking about the Jews, and there was a good deal of casual anti-Semitism about. Then the animosity was transferred to black people and Asians, but it's now returned once more to the traditional target, which is curious in itself, and I might make a video about that phenomenon in the future. May I anticipate some of the comments likely to be made here by saying that yes, I'm perfectly familiar with Barbara Spectre. I know all about the bombing of the King David Hotel, and what's more, I have already done a video on the Israeli attack on the USS Liberty. I await the usual accusations of being a gatekeeper and shill, despite still being unsure what a gatekeeper actually does.